Hello folks, well I hope you like emergency kits, because we're having another emergency kit until we do a Midland 106-900 base station and finish it tomorrow. You've not seen the part 1 video because I've not launched it yet. It's about the 13th, that'll do. Cybernet, if I could spell it, ZX1, and it says it's 21001802. So it's an emergency set. I bought this from my radio ham friend Stuart. That's the Stuart who lives at Grantham. And this was on behalf of the estate of a silent key sale. So there we are. So I paid top whack for this, to be fair to the relatives. Someone's made a bit of an adapter there, haven't they? That's the proper one. That's another one. That's another one. And we've got the aerial. When we did some field tests, we found that the range of the included aerial with these was actually the worst of all the ones we tested, which is sad. The radios work great. I think the poshest one has got to be the realistic TRC 1004. It certainly had the poshest price at $149.99. Though they did reduce it at one point to $99.99. So, tell you what, we will power it from that. That could be too thin. Yeah, you'll do that. It'll be easy. I've still got. Now you notice the display picture's missing. There should be a picture of somebody. I don't know, broken down in a car looking sexy or something. That's the usual kind of picture, isn't it? I've got 3 of these and 2 of them have lost the picture. The only one that's got a picture is a hopelessly non-worker, which was abandoned by a customer. It's sent in for repair, but it is hopelessly not repairable. Not without a lot of scrap chassis-ness. 1863 we've got. Is that what we wrote down? No. 1863. See, we can't read his writing. Good. So eagle-eyed viewers who are in another country will say this is like the General Electric Help, the AM American one, which obviously comes out of the same factory from Cybernet. And does it have high-low power? It does have high-low power. Let's hope it's a better switch than it is on the Maxcom 7E. Right, we will plug this into test gear. I've got about 15 minutes in this session. So we'll hopefully get a start. I want the adapter off the aerial cable when we did on the air test yesterday, and we'll put that onto the test gears cable. What's the voltage, folks? Well, I'll have to be careful, and we'll run it at 13.8. I do have an instruction book on file, so when I disappear off and come back, I'll make sure I've read what it says. So we're going to start at 12.8 volts. Great. You get the numbers and you get the LED display, so at least you know which way you're going. Let's check we've got power on. We're on high power. Switch picture in picture on. Get the clipboard. See what we've got. Right, we're on the 3 watt scale. It is doing 2.8 watts on channel 20. At least on this one we can change channel easily. 2.7 watts. Let's guess it's 2.9 on channel 1. 2.95 actually. On low power, we'll go back to channel 20. It is 180 milliwatts. Just like yesterday's was, but it's a totally different radio. Back to full power. And current consumption is 771 milliamps. For what it's worth, the deviation Wallow is not in tune. Wallow. It's coming up as 1.4. The test set's been on long enough for us to get a frequency on it, and let's have a look what we've got. 2779099. That's not really off at all. We'll pull that up. I can't do the receive because we haven't got an earphone socket, so I can't plug the test gear in. So I'll have to take the set apart and put a crocodile clip on the speaker. Isn't that nice having that big hooky thing? I knew. Do you remember the days when cars had a choke knob? And you knew this elderly lady. She drove a Morris Minor. In fact, she was my piano teacher, and she only had one hand. She only had a left hand. She was born with just a stump. She had the wrist, and it just ended at nothing. And she drove this manual Morris Minor, so she'd hold it with her stump, the steering wheel, change gear with the left hand, and so on. And she used to put mega revs on this car. You'd think the poor engine was going to fall out before she changed gear. But she used to pull this choke knob out and hang her handbag on the choke knob. I dread to think what fuel economy she got. Anyway, there you go. Happy memories. Wickersley Rotherham, Toll Bar Road. There you go. That's told you. Right, we better take this thing apart. Now we're doing this because Mr. Chippy needs to go somewhere in the Almira in a few days. The car we've just bought, to replace our Toyota, which is gone. It's not worth carrying on with. And we haven't got a radio. I will need to put an air in, but it's pouring with rain. So, I mean, if all else fails, you can put a mag mount on, but it'd be nice to get better range than what a mag mount's going to get. It's always a bit of a compromise, like 2/3 of the range. I'm talking about a proper mag mount, not the rubbish one you get with this kit. Should be lucky to get 3 miles on. Have I not unscrewed that properly? So I'm going to do a video on fitting out that car. Might be 19 years old, but it may be still of interest to people. Like we did when we did the Nissan Leaf we used as a test car. I didn't say I could get that one to come off though, did I? Right, well, you know, here goes. It's my set. Let's use this padded bag as protection. There we go. Yeah, totally different to anything else. At least you get a half decent speaker. These speakers in these emergency kits of the 80s are actually bigger than the speakers you get in mobiles today. I forgot you got the LED display as well, don't you, on this? That's quite nifty. Squelch is this slider, and it's labelled as near and far. It works the opposite way. Minimum squelch is there. But that's not unusual, because a lot of business radios were that way around at one time. So, this is clearly the receiver. This is clearly the transmitter. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put it on frequency, and then we'll do the receiver, check the receiver, we'll do the receiver, and I'll take that break and I'll come back with information for the power it's supposed to be able to do, because obviously I've got it powered at 12.8 volts as the maximum I would safely do if it's a 12 volt radio. It might be 13.8. Some of these are designed to use with the engine off. So we need to connect our crocodile clip to the speaker and to our test instruments. Where is the test instrument? Speaker. We should only have to connect the inner, because it should pick up its earth through the aerial's earth. Right, so we'll put it on frequency. So the synthesizer somewhere up here. Of course, the more features, the more faff it is. I don't think I've done a realistic 1004 for quite a time. I ought to dig one out and do one, because they're my favourite. Yeah, there's the synthesizer, beautifully filled with wax just to make it difficult to fix. Right, so we're going to transmit. Oh, it's like that, is it? We'll just disconnect our speaker once again. I'm going to transmit. One's going to be VCO. I bet that's VCO. What, you know, I'm just looking at the crystals there. How can the trimmer for it be there? Well, if we upset the VCO, again it's my set. That's the VCO, so I've upset it, I've put it back. And that's going to be receive VCO, it's not going to be tuned. I'm going to just prove it. Yeah. Of course, it's always possible it doesn't have a trimmer capacitor for the reference crystal. I don't know if I've got a circuit for these. Right, well, we'll leave it at that for now. I'm not wrecking it. It's not far enough out to worry. So we'll set the signal generator up. So we'll put 2779. We will. Instead of putting 125, we'll put 100 in, which is what it's working at. So we don't tune the thing lopsided. I'll do. Connectors back up. put some meaningful volume on, 100 microvolts on the test set, and the inset camera over to the oscilloscope. Set the we're going to, before we set it, we need to see what it's doing. Very good, 0.4, 0.39. dB, 0.33, 20 dB, 0.85. I don't often see it as good as that. Squelch. (100 microvolts, just where we want it, and maximum sensitivity, minimum to minimum. Set threshold. Not easy with the slider. It's also not a very good sensitivity on the squelch, 1.3. I'll have scratchy corner chopping. Right, so just see whether we can do a tune-up. So we'll now go back to the oscilloscope. I've got those in front of there again, but it's 100 microvolts. And let's adjust the detector, which is going to be, it's going to be that one. Miles out. Now then, that might be why it's extra sensitive, because that's out. It's good. Now I've corrected it, it might be a lot less sensitive. Right, so let's go over to the SINAD meter again. And if we can actually see that from our cellophane wrappers. Well, we brought that up. Put more signal on for the IFs. Double check that one with a bigger signal. With a smaller signal again. Let's see what we're now getting for 12 dB. Ah, 0.3. .25 and 0.73. See where our squelch now is. 100 microvolts. That's probably why this was not the figure I'd like. So without touching the squelch preset and without even knowing where it is, let's see where the sensitivity now is of the squelch. Set threshold on the radio. Signal generator back on. It's 1.15. It is better, not helped by having a slider. So I don't know if I've got a circuit. I don't think I have, but I'll just have a look at the voltages and things, and we'll come back in a bit. Well, it turns out we don't have any information, so there we go. I'll tell you what, we'll run it at 13.2. It's my set, so it's a good compromise. Right, so we'll run through the transmitter, see whether we can get a bit more out of it. Be nice to get more than 3.5. So we're on the 3-watt scale, and we need to disconnect the speaker. It's beyond 3 watts. So it's now, it is actually 3 watts. So the first adjustment is going to be that one. That was already absolutely spot on. I've just realised look at this, I don't know whether you can see this, but the display is, as I talk, doing like modulation. Don't expect that on an FM set. So I don't like this method, but this is it looks like they set the power, the final bit, with these air-spaced inductors. And the coil stretcher has stretched it to lower power than it need be. We're a whisk away from 4 watts there. Now that needs to be... We are at 4 watts. Bit of a cheap way of doing it, that. Right, see what other channels we can persuade to do. Channel 1 is 4.05. Channel 40. I think my printer's about to wake up. .6. I'm going to let this go rather than go backwards and forwards with it. Just see what it's doing on 31, which is our test channel. 3.6. Right. Back to channel 20. And the power is 4 watts. And the current consumption is 995 milliamps. Low power is now .150 milliwatts. It's come down. Right, so we've got to find what all these presets do. And I'm going to end up upsetting the squelch, aren't I? Yes, Mr. Tango, you are. Chances are that's going to be deviation, so let's just see whether we can get that. Let's go over to the deviation meter on this test set, and then we'll check it with the one on the other test set. Wallow. Wallow. It is. I've brought it up to just over 2, to 2.1. So I'll just swap test sets. Very awkward to do this with sets like this. Kind of try and pick it up and that. Wow, it's slightly low. Okay, so one of these is going to be the S meter. It just says minimum and maximum. So if we set the third one for S9, that sounds about all we can do. So S9 is there, and if we go to plus 30, it's there. So it's exactly as we want it. The trouble is I need to know which presets it is. It's not that one. That doesn't make sense. Well, surely it can't be that one. It is. Right, make sure we're still correct. Yeah. So deviation's the top one, and the lower one is the S meter. Let's put that board back. I'm going to try and print off a practical wireless magazine. We were looking at a television magazine from 1957, I think it was, yesterday. And the biggest thing that brought me to electronics was discovering practical wireless. That's not the right screw. How can that not be the right screw? Where's that come from then? It's got to be the right screw. It's when I left primary school and joined secondary school. This is the right screw. And discovered some magazines dumped in a building site. And I discovered practical wireless and radio and electronics constructor. So I then found that you could still buy that magazine. In fact, I've been buying practical wireless until about 4 years ago, and it just wasn't doing the projects. It was reviewing stuff I didn't want to see reviews on, and so I waved it goodbye. With printers busy doing like it does print. Right, so we've set that up. I've upset these two. One of those is going to be squelch. So let's put the squelch to full. And I've got 100 microvolts on the signal generator. Let's put the attenuator up on there. So one of these has now upset the squelch, which is right. So is it that one? No, it's not. Is it that one? It is. Right. That's it. Back to how it should be. 100 microvolts. And we'll see what the sensitivity... We've already done that. I might just have improved it though, so we'll just see. May as well have fixed it worse as well. I have improved it. It's now 0.55. Call it 0.65. So the lower one must be this strange mod meter effect. I just found that bonkers. Low. No. Oh, I wonder if it's low power. That'd be good, wouldn't it? So low power is this one. That's absolutely brilliant. Oh, I'm glad the Cybernet, but you can't adjust the frequency, but it's near enough. Let's just check back out the frequency. Everything's been on a bit longer. 27,79099. Absolutely near enough. So that was 1.4 and it's now 2.2 to 2.5 kilohertz. We don't have a VCO method. RF meter was reading well, what does it read? It's I'm going to put mod meter. S meter was correct. Doesn't have one of those. Those are okay. Those are okay. Those are okay. It doesn't have one of those, and those are okay. So low power, top one, and squelch preset, the lower one. So we've got a set with just under 4 watts, and it is 4 watts on the lower channels. I could balance that better, but it's a faff between having to mess with these coils, and I think we've got the result we need. So that's very satisfactory. And when you think how many sets use the Cybernet 134 chassis, or a few sets use the Cybernet 135 chassis, lots of sets use the Cybernet 002F chassis, and then you come to this. This is the only model they did with this chassis. Just think of all the money it cost them, and how many sets actually use this chassis. How many of these did they actually make? They couldn't have made a site out of it. Right, we'll swap that. We'll swap the test gear for the aerial. So Antron or Solarcon 99 mounted just above gutter level. See if we can get that knob back on somewhere the right place. Well, how long have I had this set and I can't find the volume control knob? Notice it's just silly noises. One nano Roger. I was on low power, wouldn't be doing very much. One nano Roger.
Roger, Breaker.
Oh, thanks, Breaker. What's your rough location?
Go again, mate.
Yeah, what's your rough location, just as a test?
Location, Sleaford, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, just near Ancaster, Roger.
Oh, Roger, mate. Yeah, you coming through here, alright?
Roger, thank you.
Right to yourself.
Well, we don't often get a Roger, do we? So he's just over 7 miles away, so can't be bad. It's about 1 in 75 tests. No, that's it. Right, we'll do an on-the-air test later on. We don't often see these. I think we've covered it once before. So thanks for watching the Cybernet ZX1 emergency kit. It's Midland Base Station tomorrow.